Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday today. Welcome back to another of our spring series for TMDSAS. We're doing workshops, we're doing panels, we bring on schools and just get to chat about different programs and different perspectives on application process and application journey. So today we will be talking a little bit about applying to podiatry school in Texas. Very excited to have a couple of folks with us here from UTRGV's School of Podiatric Medicine. So I'm going to bring them on here. First, I have Dr. Javier LaFontaine. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for being here. And then next up, I have Ricky Gutierrez. Hi, Ricky.
Hi, how are you guys? Happy to be here.
Heck yeah, we're doing great. So thank you for joining me today. I wanted to first let all of our applicants know about something very special as far as the podiatry deadline goes, and that the TMDSAS deadline has been extended to June 30th for entry year 2025 for those who wish to apply to podiatry school, to UTRGV. And I'm going to drop a link in the chat that has more information about how to go about applying. We have some specific instructions there, but it is really pretty simple and straightforward. There's a form to fill out for TMDSAS, a short form, and then we'll be in contact with you. And for those who have entry year 2025 application, you are able to apply at no additional cost to what you paid for the fee in almost a year ago, possibly. Yes.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we should just dive in. If any viewers have comments, definitely drop them in the chat. If you are watching this recording later, you can always email info@tmdsas.com and we'd be happy to connect you. Yeah, so I guess I will dive right in with some questions. So in thinking about podiatric medicine, Dr. LaFontaine, I'm just curious, what excites you most about the future of podiatric medicine?
Yeah, well, thank you, Brianna, for doing this event, and Ricky also for being here. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. I hold my profession to high standards just because it's been very rewarding for me. I think podiatry itself have a lot of good things for the future. I think, as you all know, diabetes is on the rise. So a lot of the stuff that we do for diabetic, not the only thing, but it's related to diabetes. We also know that the baby boomers are getting a little older, right? So with age, always food problems come along, right? So that's another thing. So then the last thing I would say, I was talking not too long with a couple of people, and Texas and Utah are the only two states that are growing in population in the United States. So we're going to get a lot of young people too that's going to need foot and ankle care. So I think it's very good for us that want to be interested on healthcare, taking care of people. I think that's very important. But the profession brings a lot of good things in research and opportunities to evaluate athletes, older population, falls, right? Prevent amputation. So there's a lot of things that the profession brings to the table that is really exciting for years to come.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about these specialties for certain body parts or organs, and you may not think about it until it matters the most in the world, and then it is the most important thing to somebody.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we take pride. The profession takes pride of keeping America walking, right? And I think when you are in the area of healthcare where every time you go to the doctor, you gotta walk, you gotta do exercise. We're essentially depending on the feet to do all that, right? So yeah, I mean, we take a lot of pride. We're a very essential part of medicine when we take care of, when we talk about patient care.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
This next question is open to either one of you, both of you, but I'm just kind of curious if we can paint a little bit more of a picture of what the journey into podiatry school might look like for applicants or future applicants. That might include what kind of courses they're taking, what kind of activities or experiences, just what that process might be like for them.
Yeah. Ricky, do you want to say a little bit of what the requirements are, and then I can elaborate in kind of the student experience, I guess?
Definitely. So, kind of starting off, how you start off as a podiatry applicant is, you get started. Everything starts with TMDSAS. You get that application going. You have from May the 1st for the entry year 2026, all the way up until March of 27th to get that TMDSAS in. Then, once that's submitted, you get that secondary application and interview. So really, it is kind of a streamlined approach, and you are going to be getting contacted by myself, representatives from the university throughout that process. And what I like to say is, I kind of think that I'm the first point of contact. So definitely, you can schedule an appointment with me. I have a bookings link, and we can get you talking. We can start talking about more specifics. But definitely, one of the biggest things that I think is unique about universities, we do have a holistic approach to admissions. So we don't necessarily look at one aspect of the application. For instance, a 3.0 on the overall GPA or 3.2 in the sciences. A lot of schools might turn down other applicants. We take a holistic approach and we look at you as a whole. And I think that really sets us apart from other universities as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good to know that you might be that first point in contact. You seem pretty friendly and easy to talk to.
Yep.
Yep, that's right. And I can tell you a little bit more about what once you move forward to the step that Ricky just described. Once you're accepted in the school, then you do have, it's a 4-year program, right? So is the easier way to describe it is the first 2 years are maybe your basic sciences, right? And then the third and the fourth year are your clinical experiences, right? Where you spend time with podiatrists, general surgeons, and orthopedics and vascular doctors and all that, get your comprehensive education. And then in between the first and the second year, between the second and the third years, you'll take your national board part 1. And almost at the end of this 4th year, you take your national board part 2. All right. And once you have all those, then you have a residency program, which is 3 years for everyone. So that's where you learn your podiatric medicine, your surgery, and it's very comprehensive because even though we're thinking that we take care of the foot and the ankle, right? It's attached. The foot is attached to a body, right? So you have to know how vascular disease affect the foot, how diabetes, how, high blood pressure does. So all those things, you have to learn it. That's why it's a 3-year program, because you have to learn pretty much about everything before you go out there and then get a job and get your license to practice and do all the other things.
Yeah, thanks for painting that picture. It does seem very comprehensive, and it does seem like y'all are a very supportive program and there with your students through all of these steps.
Yeah, that's for sure. Our school, we approved for 40 seats in each year. So it's a small school, right? So, maybe a lot of you are coming from big universities where there are thousands of students. Then you come here, it's very, I guess, for lack of better term, very homey. You see the faculty all the time. You see your colleagues all the time. So it's very easy to create a good student environment, for teaching and learning. So we take a lot of pride on that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I will move on to my next question here, which is what makes an applicant stand out to you? Or if you could tell us a little bit about the applicants you do have and how they got their way in.
Okay. Well, I tell you, that's a common question we get from when when we go to places and try to talk about podiatry and the school in different colleges. I mean, I think the most important, there are several qualities that you really want an applicant, right? You want someone that is self-motivated, right? To pursue things. Remember that when you go into professional schools, any, medicine, law school, anywhere where you get your is usually there's a big change in content of things, right? So when you're undergraduate, you get a lot of content, right? But you get arts classes, English, math, a variety of it, right? And some of the major classes. Here you get about the same content, but it's all specialty classes. So everything is important. So that means that you really have to have that motivation to pursue every class the best you can, right? And that's the deal breaker. If you're not motivated, then you fall behind, and then one thing's pile over the other. So you need someone that is literally self-motivated to pursue, right, the 4 years. And I think in the interview, you really want people that look compassionate, that really want to be taking care of ill people, illness, right? People that are sick. It's not an easy job to do that. No matter if I'm going to be a doctor specialized to the eye, to the foot, to the heart. Bottom line is people are sick, they're concerned, and you have to have that compassion, and show through your career, through your application that, hey, I am compassionate. I am here to treat patients. This is really what I want to do. This is my call. And I think those two things are probably the most important. After that, then yes, you have your MCAT, GPA, and all that. But those are the two things that you look for a student when they're coming into a medical career. I think that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So then, applicants out there who are watching and listening right now, just understanding that it's important to get that across about your personality, your motivation, and dedication to what you do and your studies, and sense of compassion.
Yep, for sure.
Awesome. Ricky, did you have anything to add to that?
So, like in my experience, from seeing, applicants starting off as just applicants and then moving forward into admitted students, one of the biggest things is, like Dr. LaFontaine mentioned, like self-starters. They have good moral fiber and that really want to make a change in their community, because where we're at currently at the Valley, 30% of our population, and continuing to grow, is suffering from diabetes. And, a lot of times as a physician, you might see people on their worst day, and that's really where that compassion kicks in. You have to be willing to go that extra mile to help them. And in some cases, maybe, especially with podiatry, and like Dr. LaFontaine said before in other webinars, you have that ability as a podiatrist to alleviate that issue or to make that change in that patient that same day. So you can see the change you make there. And I think that's the most rewarding part of podiatry, and also what I think they look for as well in a podiatrist.
You know what? Another thing I like, if I may, Brianna, is that it's very important because podiatry, I think, like I mentioned earlier, it's a great career and it's very rewarding. But there's not a lot of podiatrists in the United States. There are about 18,000, and about 1,200 are in Texas.
Wow.
And what our population is, 30 million people, or getting close to 30 million. So a lot of people don't know about podiatry just because you don't see them unless you really have a very specific problem to the foot, right? So for a lot of the applicants that we receive are people that maybe thought about medicine or dentistry, and they're kind of looking for another option, right, for healthcare. So it's really important that if you're considering podiatry, I think it's good to shadow a podiatrist. And I think that mission committee put a lot of weight on that, because you don't want to come into the city here, start, and you're like, oh, I don't like feet. This is terrible. Oh my God. Because then we just wasted your time. So if you just go and shadow a podiatry, see what they do for a day or for half a day, for 2 half-a-days, then you'll see how good of the profession is. Then you'll see how much you can do. And I can tell you, you know, from an inside scoop, I guess, is that the committee do put weight a lot for you to have you shadow a podiatry. Do you plan to shadow it, right? Like if you're thinking on changing your career, hey, I'm already have an appointment to see someone, you know, in a month. Then it makes us comfortable. Like when you come here, you're like, okay, this applicant went through the process, so that means he or she understand what podiatry is, at least a little bit, right? Because the education comes after, right? To see what a podiatric physician actually is, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Getting out there and shadowing, just to have a day, to walk alongside a podiatrist and see what it's like.
Yeah, and we can help you. We have a running list of podiatry that are willing to shadow. So if you're in Houston or Austin or Dallas or Lubbock, or you know, you can reach out to us, reach out to Ricky, and he can get in there and tell you, well, we have 2 in Austin. You know, give them a call or you know, or contact them by email or something. So we can help with that.
Awesome, very helpful. So my next question here is thinking about Texas, thinking about this being the only podiatry school, will factor into this, I'm sure. But how UTRGV is opening doors for future podiatrists?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean, we have been here for about 3 years, and I think we have done many things. I mean, probably the biggest thing that we're doing this upcoming year is that we're starting a residency here in the Valley as of July 1st, 2025. So this summer. So, and that's very important for us because in order for you, right, the idea of the school, the mission is obviously educate more podiatrists to take care of Texans and give also an opportunity for those that want to become a doctor, right, to come and consider podiatry too. But having a residency close the loop, right? So if you're from Texas, you come to the school, you love the Valley or you love South Texas or whatever, then you can train here, and then hopefully then you're staying, right? So we're closing the loop. If we don't have a residency, there are other places in Texas you can do residency. But if you go, you know, Miami or New York or whatever, then we might lose you to another place. And we want to retain the people that can take care of the people in Texas. The other thing too is that we got a grant from a local foundation to start a limb preservation program, and that's going to be unique in the state. You know, so we are scheduled to start in the fall, mid-fall. So stay tuned for that because we'll have more information. But that is ongoing, and we're going to make a big difference with the limb preservation program.
Yeah, that is big news, and congrats again on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited about it. I think it's a game changer for South Texas.
Indeed. Well, my last question for the two of you here is, what other kinds of questions do you get from applicants as they decide to apply? Is there any, myths that we can dispel, or other resources we can point people to, or just any other common questions that maybe we could get out of the way for some folks who are looking towards applying to podiatry this year?
Yeah. Ricky, you want to share your experience? Or?
So one of the things that they asked me is also, and like Dr. LaFontaine touched on this a little bit, is the shadowing, right? So a lot of times, maybe in the areas that the applicants are in, they may not have podiatrists. Maybe they've never been to one in their area. So what we do is we have that running list of podiatrists here in Texas. But even then, even if you're not in the state of Texas, I still do my due diligence, and I find you guys podiatrists that are willing to allow you guys to shadow. And really, I think that kind of sets it a little bit apart. I know some of the schools might not have that kind of system, but I do I do pride myself on being able to find them podiatrists in their area to shadow. So that's one of the big things that they ask, like, well, I don't know anyone to shadow. And really that's where they get to step foot in foot with a podiatrist, to really walk in their steps and see if this might be the career path that they want to pursue. And I think it's really an instrumental point in the application process for them to see that and really drive the point home that maybe this is something they're going to do and pick this as a profession.
I think they are typically, I think that's the way you describe it is really good. Some of the myth, right, about podiatry. I think there's probably about 2-3 things that might be important to address. So one of the things about podiatry is, which I find really, really good in my career, is that the profession per se, I'm talking about patient care, you can practice as a medical podiatrist or a surgical podiatrist or a combination. So if you're a person that let's say, for example, surgery, you're surgically oriented, right? And you want to do that, podiatry offered that opportunity. You can do very simple office-based surgery to complex surgery. But let's say you are toward not too much surgery, but mostly medicine, like food health, prevention, and education, sport medicine, things like that. Podiatry offered that pathway too, so, and then he offered the combination. You can have office 50%, you can do surgery 50%, so it'll give you a good way to determine how busy you're going to be in the future. So you don't mind putting 12, 14 hours a day because you want to be, have a busy practice. You are trained, you can do surgery, you can be up all night if you want to do that. But if you want to be a little bit more restrictive to more predictability in your office, then you can do that too, which is a great thing for the profession. So the second thing I would say is the myth of there is something that I notice people every time you talk about a profession. First thing we do, right? We go in Google and Google whatever, right? And things pops up, right? And often a lot of students Google, well, how much money I'm gonna make if I become a podiatrist? And how much money I'm gonna make if I'm a family doctor, right? I mean, that's just normal for all of us to do that. So podiatry, you have to be tricky. You have to be careful because podiatry, in order to pull out those numbers, usually podiatrists include people that are students that are in residency training and fellowships in private practitioner. All kinds go into that. Like for example, if you Google cardiology is only going to look at cardiologists, not residents that are in cardiology, because it's very clear cut both. Where podiatry, that's not the case. So what's going to happen is when you Google, there's going to be 5 places that is going to come up, and 5 places going to tell you different salary. So you have to be very careful when you look at those numbers. And if you have any question, just reach out to us and we can clarify things for you. If you shadow the podiatrist, then you can ask them. You can say, hey, what is a typical podiatrist? And they can tell you their experience. They can tell you about their colleague in another state. And then, you can find those answers, probably from better sources than just looking in the internet.
Yeah, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat here to your admissions page where we have the admissions contact information there for booking an appointment. And it sounds like future applicants could get their most solid information directly from the source by chatting with you guys. So definitely, if you're interested in this career path, just exploring it, even reach out there. to the admissions contact information on this page, as well as I see you guys have a lot of information here on your requirements, about tuition, about your admitted students. There's just so much. Here is a great place to start researching for anyone who's interested. Well, I want to thank you both so much for providing such great information. Is there anything beyond what we've talked about that you'd like to address while we have while we're on air?
I mean, I can, you know, I think it would be, you know, I'll take a minute, I think, for those of you that are considering, you know, podiatric medicine as a career, you know, don't be afraid. I think it's a great profession. It's very rewarding. There's a lot of things you can do within the profession, even though we think it's almost like and it is a subspecialty, but there is a lot of science behind it. There's a lot of research opportunities. There's a lot of opportunity for growth. Even if you go in private practice or go into academics or you go to work with a hospital, you know, we are very integral part of medicine. And I think it worth exploring, and, you know, I think reach out to us. We're probably going to be the better source, Brianna, like you just say. We can give you any information. We got Ricky. Ricky's great. He knows pretty much anything about podiatry too, so he can help you get a lot of good information too.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds like a very a career path that has a lot of flexibility and a lot of possibilities for the individual.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for popping by. We really appreciate it. Everyone out there, the links are in the chat, and just reach out if you have any questions. But everybody, have a great week.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.